What is up, guys? How is it going? Excoundrel here. We are going to be looking at a new Gragas build that has been coming out in pro play recently, and then we're going to break down a pro play game between Noblesse and Celestials in the Wild Rift SEA Icon Series, the Summer Open qualifiers. I'm going to break down a game that we saw a Tank Gragas in. We're going to talk a little bit about the play style, how you go about kind of building this, and a little bit more about how he kind of played the laning phase, because he did a really good job. And I kind of was inspired to make this video because this is a build that has been very, very popular on the PC variant of League of Legends. Tank Gragas over the last few months has been played a decent amount, although he has been nerfed relatively recently. But I always wondered why that wasn't making its way into Wild Rift. But it looks like it has now made its way into Wild Rift, and this is the build. Sunfire Cape into Spirit Visage. That gives you loads of AoE damage. The Spirit Visage increases your passive healing as well. You're going to want Teleport Boots, either with Mercury Treads or the Plated Steel Caps. You're going to want Iceborne Gauntlet. Then you'll want something like Thormail and maybe a Warmogs or maybe a Force of Nature, depending on what you're playing up against. Runes, Grasp of the Undying, 100%. I like Champion because, you know, if you're trying to keep yourself safe in lane, you're going to get 10% extra damage, which is nice. Regeneration and Sweet Tooth is really nice if you're just in a really tough lane, but you can obviously swap out either of those for a relevant rune like Hunter Titan or something like Hunter Genius, for instance. So it's a really, really strong build. Thanks to G2A, by the way, for sponsoring the channel. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the pro game and break it down. Okay, so I'm going to be using a little pen. You guys have seen it before in some of my videos to help us kind of illustrate key points. Something that I found really interesting is that if you have a look at the junglers, the Camille and the Graves, that's not something that you tend to see in Europe. You don't tend to see Camille and Graves that often in Europe, so I find it really interesting that the SEA jungle meta is quite different. I imagine that the Camille jungle is a good way to deny the Galio-Camille combo, which is super strong. And Graves really only works well when paired with a lot of CC. So you've got Braum and Graves, which is a strong combo, and you've got Graves and Galio, which is relatively strong. But I think, you know, Graves is a relatively low impact early jungle, whereas, you know, even though Camille's got a slow clear speed, she can still gank pretty easily, and getting to level 5, she has a really strong gank. So, you know, there are a lot of gank opportunities for Camille post level 5. In terms of how these comps play out, like they actually have, well, Corki is an AD carry that you see played a lot in SEA at bot lane, and Ezreal obviously becoming more popular. But Orianna Corki, you're just basically going to be having what we call a front to back. So you'll have the Gragas and the Camille on the front line. You'll have the Corki and the Orianna on the back line supported by the Janna. And essentially these guys are absorbing and dealing with as much damage as possible. These guys are on the back line pumping out the damage. It's called a front to back. A good way to sort of disrupt a front to back is by having an assassin. So Akali can jump to the back line. Galio can jump on the Akali. They can maybe kill the Orianna or the Corki. This comp is a little more difficult to pull off, though, and honestly, it does rely on Ezreal doing really well, and it relies on Graves doing really well. If they want to combat Noblesse, I think they'll have an issue just because they don't have as strong of a team fight as Noblesse do. Noblesse's team fights are very easy to pull off. It's called, you know, we call this like ease of execution. Like Orianna and Corki are just two very easy mages to make work. And then with Celestials, like you have to have a really strong Akali setup with the Galio, and then obviously you can peel back with the Graves and the Ezreal. But if you start getting zoned by Gragas and Camille, you're leaving your Akali and your Galio out to dry, and there isn't much way to follow up on them. So it's going to be interesting to see how these team fights are played out. Let's actually start the game then, and again I'll be using my little my little drawing tool to kind of illustrate some things. So we're seeing some zoning out here of the Janna and the Corki. Ezreal is relatively good in weak lanes because of his Mystic Shot, so he can just Mystic Shot and farm minions as much as possible. But what I really love here is the zoning. So you're seeing that we're keeping the Ezreal and the Braum pretty much stuck at that line that I illustrated. They're stuck at that line, and you're seeing them just being zoned away constantly. What this is doing is it's denying minions and it's denying experience, and you can see they're already starting to fall behind in both of those regards just a little bit. So lovely tornado from the Janna, by the way, and already you can see Ezreal Braum struggling. In this top lane matchup, the Gragas has an absolutely like butt ton of sustain. So the Gragas has got loads of sustain in the top lane matchup. I'm not expecting him to die to the Galio. This is an interesting matchup with the Akali and the Orianna. Orianna is very, very good at punishing Akali early on, but then post 5, when you have your ultimate, Akali can be a bit more aggressive and look for the engage. You can already see that the top lane Gragas is back to full health pretty much 100% here. What I'm loving right now is what you're seeing here. There is complete bot lane priority for the Janna and the Corki, and you can see that they're trying to keep the River Scuttler away from the Graves. Now, unfortunately, Camille is on the wrong side of the map here, so Dal really can't contest, but they were just delaying that a little bit away from Cape. But Cape had the support of Braum. Braum Graves is really strong, and you could see that Yong was kind of hovering in the river. So he was looking to sort of come in and help him out. Camille really slow on her jungle clear. You can see she's taking a lot longer to get through her camps, but she's just looking to get to 5. That's what when you play Camille jungle, you're looking to get to level 5 because then you can just walk into a lane, use your ultimate, and usually get a kill. Again, good zoning for our bot lane. They're putting a lot of pressure onto Mystical and Lywin on the or Lewin, I don't know. Aris, you can see here out sustaining the Galio. Very easy for Gragas to out-sustain a low damage matchup. Like Galio is not a high damage carry, so therefore, you know, trading is a little easier. Cape comes in, but there is a really good ward here, and sorry, 2 wards. You could see them here. God damn it, keeps switching. But there was 2 good wards, basically. 2 good wards. Again, Aris is doing the same thing that we saw in the bot lane. He was zoning out the Galio a little bit further away from the minion wave, which is really nice from him. You have, again, as I said, as a tank Gragas, especially with Grasp in a melee matchup where you can actually fight, like versus a Galio, you're going to be able to get so much use out of Grasp because Galio is never going to outtrade you. You know, in a melee to melee matchup, Galio is never going to trade you, so Grasp is really strong. This is what I mean by the Camille, though. Walks into the lane. Now, that wasn't excellent, and now you're seeing why Ezreal gets picked. Arcane shifts back towards his turret, and Camille's gank was just useless. That's why we see Ezreal picked a lot in the meta right now, because there are a lot of assassins and a lot of dive, and Ezreal is a very good AD carry at dealing with that. Yeah, I was talking a bit about why Grasp is good into melee matchups that you can actually win or do well into. Essentially, if a Galio and a Gragas walk up to hit each other in the face, clearly a Galio is going to do much worse because Gragas is better at trading a melee to melee. Ooh, we just saw Cape back there. Gragas did a step up. Can have a look at the gold. Little bit of a fall behind between the Corki and the Ezreal. But actually, you're seeing the Akali outperforming. Massive gold lead built up as well for our Gragas in the top lane. Of course, we have the Infernal Drake spawn, so this will be a big point of contention. Great first item pickup here for the Gragas. He's picked up his Sunfire Cape already. This is going to make him really, really threatening in this teamfight. Young... is it Yong? Sorry. Yong going in onto the Akali, onto the Orianna, but she has now already burnt her ultimate, which is a bit of a big deal. Now keep your eyes on Aris. He's the tank. He's going to be on the front line, just absorbing as much damage as possible. We also have the package ready and available, and Chingy's ultimate should be coming off cooldown relatively quickly too. So a lot of kind of like hustle and bustle around this neutral objective. You see this a lot in Wild Rift, like fighting for that first objective generally tends to be the way that people like either throw the game or win the game. Like just people group up and fight for the first dragon pretty much all the time. Big engage, but they are out onto the Orianna. Good try from Mystical. He was trying to catch out Chingy, but Chingy was able to get away with a hook shot. You can see Gragas trying to get a bit of mid lane priority. Yang goes in with his ultimate once more, gets Hextech ultimatum down. They don't quite land the combo between the Ari. Oh, the shockwave. What the hell was that? That shockwave was nutty. But Gragas still unable to get into the fight, being zoned away by the Graves, but he has so much HP. Gragas comes in finally, but the shockwave was the winner there. Kong. Absolutely disgusting shockwave. Holy moly. That should be enough now to get the first dragon. They were dancing around that dragon for 1.5 minutes. But it is going to be Noblesse that picks up that first dragon and gets the bounty of the increased damage. They actually fought so long that we now have the spawn of the Rift Herald. Which is obviously the next objective that we're going to be thinking about. And I love this. I love this. See this right here? Lane swap coming in. They know that this next objective is going to be important, so they're going to put their strongest side of the map up against the Galio. It's going to give them numbers and range advantage when dealing with the Rift Herald. And really nice play. And actually, Gragas in the bot lane can very easily clear waves, not only with the Sunfire Aegis, but also just has really good wave clear in general. So this was a super sensible decision. Really, really good play from Noblesse. To just say, well, we don't really care about kind of like switching our top lane, our bot lane to top, because there's really no, benefit from keeping them there. However, I would like to have seen Noblesse try and force this Rift Herald earlier. I think they had the numbers to do so. Now they've given up that advantage. You can see that Mystical's actually rotated up. So I think that, that rotation would have made sense if they'd just gone straight for the Rift Herald. But now that they've delayed it, we've seen Mystical actually rotate up here, and it hasn't. It's kind of nullified that numbers advantage that we had at that top side of the map, and it's kind of invalidated the lane swap a little bit as well, because you're just giving Ezreal free time on the bot lane. So Ezreal's just got free time in the bot lane, and you're not really punishing him for it. And that's the problem that I have with what Noblesse did. Now, they are going to go for the Rift Herald now, but again, it is a 4v4. They're going straight in. Nice Hextech ultimatum, but the taunt will buy the extra resistances. And actually, with the Shockwave, I don't know if it'll be enough. Just about. Chingy picks up the kill. Very risky, though. And you can see that Chingy is low HP. So whether they can afford to go for the Rift Herald here or not is questionable. And actually, Ezreal has rotated up to try and sort of nullify that numbers advantage. He's also pushing onto the mid lane. I can't wait to see some Tank Gragas in action, by the way, guys. We haven't really seen much of it. Yang jumps in, actually dies somehow. They trade 1-for-1 overall with the Janna. Brilliant cask from Aris. That was insane. And again, big neutral objective numbers picked up. So turns out that waiting worked, and I think that Celestials were just very, very keen to try and make a fight happen. That was a really nice Ezreal ultimate, but the smite will keep Chingy alive, and he'll secure the objective with it as well. So you can see Noblesse are kind of in control. We have another dragon spawning in the next few minutes as well to keep our eyes on. And still no first tower of the game going down, but you can see that bot lane tier 1 is very, very low. I've highlighted it. That should drop with a couple of basic attacks, and Corki able to shove the lane so quickly. That will be something that I think Celestials have to keep their eyes on, especially as Ezreal is backing on the top side of the map here. And you can see that Graves is coming over to try and prevent that from happening. Now, Aris has picked up some more armor, and he's got teleport available. So Aris can continue to push on this side of the map and teleport in to the dragon. Somehow they killed the Braum, I'm guessing with another Hextech ultimatum from Chingy. Chingy's also gone Spooky Ghost enchant. So he's gone for the Ghost enchant here, which is really interesting. I'm guessing to give him more chance at chasing down and using that ultimate. The True Shot Barrage comes out. They should be able to secure this first tower of the game. Chingy goes a little aggressive, but will just back out. Really making this Camille jungle work, actually. Not something, again, like I'm used to seeing on the European side of things. I wonder if Aris is maxing Body Slam. I think Aris is actually maxing Body Slam first, because it's doing a lot of damage. And it would make sense as a Tank Gragas to reduce the cooldown of Body Slam as much as physically possible. I get the feeling that Aris is actually maxing Body Slam first as Tank Gragas, because it reduces the cooldown. And you're not really building... Sorry. You're not really building any AP to work with on your barrel. Now, it looks like Graves on the wrong side of the map here. Not interested in actually fighting for the dragon. So this will be Cloud Dragon given over. This is the 2 highest win rate dragons in the game, given over to Noblesse as it stands. Aris, again, completely untouched. No problems dealing with the top side of things. Graves is coming in through a lane gank, but it's coming into a lane gank for a Tank Gragas. You can see, does dive into the top side, though nothing comes of it because the camera doesn't switch over. Still super safe in the laning phase right now for Aris. He's in a really, really good spot. Spooky Ghost coming out. Chingy goes in with the Hextech ultimatum. The flash isn't good enough, and Yang is dead. Or Yong is dead. I keep saying Yang, but it's Yong. And they're just going to drop the Rift Herald in mid. And in the meantime, Gragas has teleport. He can just push that top lane turret. Now, Naika goes for a huge, huge taunt here into the True Shot Barrage. That's a really nice pickup. and a great defense of that mid lane tier 1. Beautiful cask, though, as the teleport comes in from Aris. Again, Aris pogging with the casks. He's taking so much damage, and no one can stop him. The Sunfire A just doing huge amounts, and because he's got that low cooldown on the body slam, look how much damage this madman tanked on Gragas. Unbelievable. Great teamfight turnaround. Really in part due to that cask from Aris. What an insane cask from him. I don't know why I'm just drawing squares around everything. I feel like I have to use my my pen, but it's not really working. So Aris with a really, really good cask. Now, the mid lane tier 1 was saved, but he's now got Spirit Visage and Bramble Vest working towards a Thorn Mail. He could even go, obviously, now for the Iceborne Gauntlet next as well to give him that little bit of extra damage. That is a really, really nice team fight from Aris. And you know, the tank Gragas working out hugely. He's got the second most gold in the game after the Corki, who's obviously picked up a load of the kills. So he's in a really strong spot. I imagine in this next team fight, he is going to be nigh on unkillable, especially with the amount of resistances that he's picked up already. And because we're seeing sort of a semi-AP or like half defense AP Galio top, there isn't really anyone to soak the damage. Although I do love the pickup of the Force of Nature on the Akali, because there is magic damage Corki, magic damage Gragas, magic damage Orianna. So the Force of Nature on the Akali is actually a really nice pickup for me. Good job. Good job, Akali. That was a really sensible piece of itemization. Chingy's just going to go aggressive onto the turret. They don't have the minion wave to work with right now, but you can see that Gragas is making his way. And actually, Gragas is going to be pushing mid lane whilst this top lane engage comes through. Yong goes for the engage. Hextech Ultimatum kind of countering the Akali, though, and she gets taken down. The Gragas, the Galio ultimate into the taunt, trying to catch the Orianna, and does, but Gragas in the back line. Cask again is big. Body slams into them. Shockwave on top. And Tank Gragas just doing insane work in these team fights. That is a big, big win again for Noblesse. I'm loving this Tank Gragas, honestly. I think it's just going in, and no one can really do anything about it because he's just so tanky now. They should be able to pick up the Baron off the back of this as well. So pretty strong game from Noblesse so far. I'd say in no small part due to Chingy's Camille jungle, which this might be changing my mind on Camille jungle, but probably more so in competitive. And also at Tank Gragas. I'm loving Tank Gragas. I think it's got a lot of potential, especially if you're sort of nervous about playing Gragas. Like, playing Tank Gragas is a good way to just say, cool, like, I don't have to worry too much about matchups. I can just kind of build tank and then become useful in team fights. And look at his itemization. He's got Sunfire Aegis. He's working towards an Iceborne Gauntlet. He's almost there. Like, with Iceborne Gauntlet, he will actually do a significant amount of damage as well, because he's got a load of armor to work with, so he'll have a load of slowing area. And, you know, an empowered Sheen basic attack when you're using Drunken Rage does a lot of damage. And look at that. That's Tank Gragas just, like, one-thirding the Krugs with a single auto attack. So still a very strong build in terms of damage output as well. Another dragon taken for free. Not really sure that it's a good way for Celestia to come back into this game right now. The Baron is kind of stopping those shockwaves. And these shockwaves have been nutty, by the way, from Kong. He has had some insane shockwaves this game, just proving the value of Orianna. Look at this. Gragas is just tower diving the Galio. Goes in looking for another body slam, finds it, and Janna steals the kill, but Aris took absolutely no damage because he's looked disgusting. It's disgusting how much damage Tank Gragas can take and how much he heals back up with Spirit Visage as well. Absolutely disgusting. Should be able to push up relatively easily through this top lane tier 1 now. Game really feels like it is on its last legs. Chingy split pushing. They'll get the first inhibitor turret. Tank Gragas goes in because he just doesn't take any damage. And we'll pick up the second inhibitor turret. Chingy's all inhibitor turrets are dropped now. And you can see they are now just looking for the end on the Nexus. Desperate defense coming out from Celestials, but I don't really see a way. Not the best cask in the world, but just trying to get them away from this Nexus. The minions have now made their way in. The shockwave is good again. Aris actually taking a little bit of damage, but they secure the Nexus. And there we go. Damn. I mean, from that game, like, I really feel like Tank Gragas is a very solid option in the top lane. And also just like Camille jungle as well. And I really underrate Camille jungle. I still don't see Graves as a high value pick, but Camille jungle, pretty good. I'm liking it. But yeah, Tank Gragas especially, super great pick. And I think we should all. I'm gonna start playing it. I love Gragas. I'm actually gonna start playing Tank Gragas and see how it goes. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you soon.